Hi, I'm Brigid Kemmerer. I am the author of 16 books for young adults. I love writing young adult contemporary, young adult fantasy, and my most recent series that has been published here in France is Défier the Night, and I am so excited for readers to meet my characters, Coric and Tessa. The first book I remember reading, it was really a lot of different books by an author named Christopher Pike. I discovered his books when I was in middle school, so around 12 or 13 years old. And those were the first books I remember reading where teenagers started to get into a lot of really big trouble. And I remember reading those books and being so excited by everything that was happening in them and thinking, I want to write stories like this one day. That was a long time ago. I have been writing for ever, it feels like. You know, I loved writing when I was young. I was writing stories in middle school. I used to get in trouble in high school because I would sneak paper out of my backpack and write kind of underneath my textbooks. I didn't really start taking writing seriously as far as becoming a published author until I was in my 20s, and it takes so long to get published. I didn't even sell my first book until I was in my late 30s, but I have always loved writing and storytelling. So I used to love writing late at night, but once I had children, that became really difficult because I was waking up too exhausted to be able to do all the things that being a mom entails. So now I get up super early in the morning and try to get some writing done before everyone is awake. You know, imagination and inspiration, just anything can spark an idea. One of the best parts of being a writer is asking what if about pretty much anything. Défier the Night is a book about a girl named Tessa who is an apothecary during the day, and she helps cure people and provide medicine to them. But at night she puts on an outlaw mask and goes out and helps the poor people of her country by stealing medicine and providing it to people who don't have enough money to buy any because her entire kingdom is overrun by this illness. She does this with her best friend, a boy named Weston, who she doesn't know very much about, but she also kind of has a secret crush on him, and they steal this medicine together until one night Weston does not return from a supply run, and Tessa sets off to see if she can find out what happened to him. She ends up breaking into the palace and comes face to face with the dangerous Prince Coric, who is responsible for a lot of suffering in the kingdom. And what she learns is that maybe everything she thought she knew about the illness, about everything that's going wrong in her kingdom, might not necessarily be true. And if she really wants to help her people, she might need to start a revolution. And I love the book, I love the story, and I love that readers in France are going to be able to get to discover it too. Oh, wow, both. You know, I think one of my favorite things about writing fantasy is that you can take some very real-world issues and put them in a fun story that is much more accessible and easier to digest. You know, all of my fantasy novels still deal with characters that are dealing with some very real traumatic issues. And just because it's wrapped up in magic or, you know, palaces or fairy tales doesn't make it any less relevant to today's world.